Network on YouTube. I'm your host, Rompe, and in this episode, we have news. Big news. Well, not so big. Maybe a little big. But big news nonetheless. And it all starts with James McCann. He's finally here. The Mets got their catcher. And we're going to get into why getting this particular catcher makes the most sense for the Mets as a team as a whole and long term. So let's dive in. So earlier in the week, MLB Network kind of laid out a blueprint as to what they think or why they think it makes more sense for the Mets to go after James McCann rather than JT Realmuto. Talent aside, we all know the better talent is JT Realmuto. But James McCann, All-Star in 2019, not so bad himself. So here's why. The luxury tax threshold is $210 million. Right now, the Mets are sitting somewhere around 140 something plus million. That leaves them roughly 70 million or so under the luxury tax threshold. Now, someone like JT Realmuto is going to command anywhere between 80 to 90 million full-length contract, whether it be a 4-year or a 5-year deal. Now, if the Mets were one piece away, if everything was locked down and ready to go, center field, infield positions, everything locked down, fine. But that's not the case. The Mets have multiple needs in key positions: center field, catching, and the back end of the rotation. So, here we go. If the Mets had no reason to go ahead and shore up center field, no reason to get more pitchers for the rotation, JT Realmuto makes the most sense in any world. You get him, that's your guy, we're ready to go. But with those needs, and with James McCann a notch below, in some ways it's not close, but over the last couple of years, 2 years to be exact, James McCann has been on par with the production that JT Realmuto has, given the Phillies. Does that mean he's better than him? No. Does that mean they're the same? No. But he's a top 5, top 10 catcher nonetheless, with JT Realmuto being number 1. But again, the Mets have multiple holes. You can't fix it with one guy. JT Realmuto is not going to bring you a championship alone. The Phillies are a prime example. Now, even with Bryce Harper, still, JT Realmuto is not going to fix the bullpen. The Phillies are a prime example. They had the worst bullpen in like about 80 years. 80 years of that franchise, they've had the worst bullpen in 2020. And he still couldn't fix that. Get them over the hump. Get them into the postseason. So, why would anybody think that that's going to work with the Mets? No. It's just not smart spending. Now, is it the sexiest move? Yes. It's very sexy. But it's not going to help you win a championship ring. Now, James McCann is a capable defender. Capable with the bat. Yes, strikes out a lot, but he's a catcher. This lineup is stacked. So, you can hide or put that in there somewhere and it not really come back to bite you too much. I mean, we had Wilson Ramos last year. That wasn't particularly sexy either. So, moving along. Defensively, behind the plate, most important. The way he dictates the game, the way he works with the pitchers. Lucas Giolito threw a perfect game. Or was it a no-hitter? No-hitter, sorry. A no-hitter. He threw a no-hitter last year. Who was behind the plate? James McCann. So that tells you a lot that you need to know about James McCann, the player, over the last few years. Now, his deal is 4 years, $40 million, plus bonus and incentives or whatever. But 4 years, $40 million, that's $10 million per season. So remember, $210 million threshold, 440 plus. Let's say 446 plus million in in money that we have. Around $70 million to spend. Top that off, take off that 70, let's say it's around 50, right? Boom. Because it's like about 68 or 69-ish plus. So the point is about 50-something million to spend, right? Say 59 million to spend. Now you have George Springer, Trevor Bauer, big free agents. What do? Well, we shored up the bullpen a little bit more, signing Trevor May, so that 140-something plus includes Trevor May. Now we are in position, $50-something million to spend, thank you Robinson Cano, to get top tier guys. Now, let's say we get George Springer, who I believe is next on the list, barring something crazy happening. He's going to be worth anywhere between 25 to 28, and that's being nice, million per season. That's going to leave you anywhere between 35 or more to go ahead and spend. With 35 or more million to spend, Trevor Bauer, you can throw 30 million a season his way, leaving us anywhere between 10, maybe a little less, to go ahead and stack up the bench, stack up the bullpen, maybe get one more reliever for the minor leagues or whatever, right? Still got to fill out the lineup. But you get those two guys, and mind you, we're talking about Steve Cohen money. So now you put those two in the bag, and if we want to really go for it, you could dip into the luxury tax, past the 210 million, get you maybe one more rotation guy, one more reliever, maybe Liam Hendricks or Brad Hand, and go ahead and do what you got to do. Now, it's going to be tough because, yes, draft picks. And if you get both, you lose 2 draft picks. Losing 2 draft picks at a time where you need to build a farm system is tough. Very, very difficult. But we're talking about Trevor Bauer, George Springer, 2 top-of-the-line guys. And I think we can suffer that blow right now. We still have our top 10 pick. So those are the numbers for that. And I think that we're in every position right now to go ahead and make that move, to go ahead and make that deal, to get George Springer next, and then flirt with Trevor Bauer. And if Trevor Bauer is not going to come here, it's fine. We can make some deals. We can work with some other relievers that will be back end, but still be serviceable, right? So, free agency is just starting to get heated, and it's going to get better. In other news, in other Mets news, we also got a GM. Jared Porter, assistant GM for the Diamondbacks. Last year, he worked under Theo Epstein in Boston, in Chicago. Then, he went off to be an assistant general manager in Arizona. But if this doesn't tell you what we're setting ourselves up for, if you haven't hopped on the Mets choo-choo train, get on now. Because I'm telling you, once the train leaves the station, it's not coming back. We're gone. We're off. This is all leading up to Theo Epstein. You bring in a guy that he's not going to have a problem with keeping. A guy that he's groomed, a guy that he's prepared to be a GM. He comes in, gets a piece of the pie. Of course, he wants a piece of the ownership. Give him a piece of the ownership. Now, he's a part of the ownership group. He's a part of the Mets ownership. And then he's the president of baseball ops. And baseball, he takes over Sandy Alderson's job, which Sandy never gave a timeline for. He came in to help clean up and just leave it in the hands of someone capable, and he's going to go ahead and just ride off into the sunset. Finish what he started here. Leave this organization in prime position to succeed now and in the future. Boom. So that's what we'll do. And it's there. It's written on the wall. It's there to be taken, to be had, to grasp, to add to his legacy, to add to Theo Epstein as the greatest executive of all time. President of baseball ops for the Mets. President of the Mets. Just taking over. I mean, it's there. It's 100% there for him to go ahead and just do it. And that's what we're setting ourselves up for. Now, if that's not the case, fine. I believe they'll still find someone who is capable of being head of baseball operations. But still, this is a layup for Theo Epstein to come in and take control, bring the Mets into the promised land. 3 to 5 year window is open, wide open, and ready for business. We have a whole lot more hot stove to get to. The winter is here. It's hot. It's getting warmer by the day. George Springer, you're next. So come get this work. I'm your host, Rompe. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell to get the notification. And last but not least, stop playing and come get this work. Thanks for watching The Work on YouTube. Don't forget to hit that bell after you subscribe to get the notifications. Also, like and please leave a comment. And lastly, don't forget to come get this work.